Hi all, welcome to another episode of today. We have, along with Deepak, we have Selvam and Santhosh who are entrepreneurs more than a And interestingly, we bring a of exposure. I having worked with big enterprise in my own company, now I work. Deepak has been working with enterprises across geographies and past 2, 3 years with Microsoft continents, different cultures, actually implementing real stuff. And Selvam and Santosh are working in the startup space 2, 3 years. Humbert works in the fintech space, and Selvam works technology engineering and knowledge management space with a different set of work. One of the things I'm sure all of us have is with AI coming, what are the relevant skills humans, right? And let's just start with at least within the tech industry to begin with. And within tech industry, we have different grades. It's not when you say tech industry, it's not just one. You have developers, senior developer, principal developer. Then you have leads, you have knowledge manager. There are multiple different roles that is there. You go to a startup, tech leader, project manager, CTO, all rolled up into one. Sometimes they might be the CEO does design, sales. It becomes very interesting to see that even if we take something as simple as let's use AI generated code, it means very different to even within the tech industry. And then there are a lot of interesting challenges as the org size also changes. One example is I was talking to one senior medium sized company and they are using AI generation. One of the challenges is you ask code to do a code review. Now, if there are 5 developers, they give 5 different prompts to review code, then it becomes a problem. How do we have a standard prompt template? You might have 3 different prompts, but how do you standardize the how do you share the prompt? What is the process or method for? Am I even thinking I need to standardize the that is a different level of thinking the project. The project manager said, let's use AI for code. Great, but there are going to be different prompts. Which prompt is the best one? How do we optimize it? For review, which model to use? This has to be done by the project manager or the senior level. The prompt construct might come from the developer, but the prompt itself comes from a senior lead. So it's interesting times that we live in, right? And in the long term, a different kind of mindset or thinking is also. So, Santosh, your first thoughts on your opinion, and maybe you can throw a question to Deepak and Selvam and me, and then we can take it. Challenge the world, not a lot, very few, because we face this problem right now. Putting in most of our
We'll talk about the scenario which I am right now facing. As an organization where we have around 25, 30 people, we wanted to upsize the company. So there is no doubt about it. So when we do the interview, so there would be the points and aptitude, how the logical thinking, if I take him to the team, will he or she will able to come into the culture of the company. So this was the main parameter when we hire someone. But the overall paradigm is getting changed. I'm going to conceptualize into 2 things. So one of the major things, whatever we learn, we need to unlearn. So that is first thing. So which is what the middle level engineers itself facing a trouble. There used to be a time where we used to remember so many phone numbers. I would say Kumaran as a previous generation, so memorize at least 100 to 200 phone numbers. For me, I cannot even think about like 3 or 4 phone numbers. Even my second phone number, I need to sense it. So that's how I am using my memory. This is an interesting discussion which we had in the team when we wanted to upsize the company. Do we need to hire people who can follow our prompt? Well, do we need to hire people who can do security? So even if logical thinking is going to give a better output. So we bought all the enterprise licensing for all the coders and all. Technically, People are in two mindset where one set of person wanted the pressure to stay. Just follow these. Whatever the AI. The second set of don't follow the AI. Use your brain. We have to follow it. Become white coding is getting famous right now. Don't be a white coder. At least use your brain. There is a third set of people like me who is putting linting very strongly. When I mean by lint very strongly, you do whatever white coding or whatever code. I don't want an extra camel getting in my code. I just wanted the code.
Right.
It's a lot to say, but eventually, the time which we are taking to do the end process is changed. And there is tougher action for the people who are a mid-level programmer or a senior level programmer to understand, boss, I used to sit on this for so many hours to get this stuff. You are getting it instantly. When I was younger, I used to wait for a song for almost days to watch a song. No, if kids wanted to watch a song, they know what they wanted. Just by humming there, the AI is helping them. The point of no waiting, there is a different level of learning.
So, Deepak, what Santhosh talks, it is clearly visible when it is a very small team. One person has view at all the different levels. Now, in your case, you have a view of this in large enterprises in different geographies like China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and India, and you keep traveling across these different teams and also across different domains in this. You have a different view of how the situation is being spent or discussed. Is this discussion happening on how we should approach it, how we should reskill? The first question I would say is how much percentage of your customers across geographies? I know it's just whatever number you have, right? Just for us to get a sense of how much percentage this discussion is happening. If it's happening, what is it?
I'll tell you from the experience which I've had so far, not many people are actually talking about this. So most people in large enterprises are still figuring it out. I would not say that there is a grand strategy at play because one is all the big consultants of this world they have to themselves bring out these formulas for these large enterprises to consider it to be strategy. So most people just want to means I'm just saying most enterprises presently they are looking to get onto the bandwagon as quickly as possible, right? They don't want to miss them. From practical experience perspective, where I see that who is getting the most productivity or the value out of it, it is not the individual contributor at the coder level or the developer level or even architect level. They are not the people who are getting the perception of productivity. The people who are benefited the most in terms of perception, I'm not saying this is actual data, is the higher level management, right? People who are people. So conversely, the jobs which are going to get affected is the middle people who are communicating the ground level stuff to the top level people. That middle layer, you heard that thing, that remove the middleman. The middleman is disappearing from this. The people who need to decide, they want this information quickly. One key thing is, which can only come with wisdom and experience, is the art of discernment, right? Finding out when to trust AI and when not to trust AI. That is like meeting a person, right? So I'm just going to give you an example where I am presenting an AI solution to breadth of people in an organization, which is not really a technical organization. It's actually an HR organization, right? Which works on taking calls from people and helping them and doing all kinds of things. I'm talking to the people who are doing the analysis of this, all these calls and stuff, right? Now, I'm trying to explain the solution of how flexible this is to answer your questions. People at the ground level are not very fascinated, but the top said, this is exactly what I want. I want to validate the hypothesis and get conversation out of AI rather than you giving me, I just give a command and you give me a report in a Power BI. I want to have a conversation and get this data out of it. These are the guys who have been doing this analysis for a long time. They spend days together doing this thing. Now, the top guy is seeing, I don't need all these guys to do this for me. I can do it myself. Just give me the raw data. I will do this analysis myself. Right. So that is where I'm seeing the conversation happening in enterprises. I think more going to be around how do you define what a role does with AI, right? Now, it's just free for everybody. Everybody needs to learn prompting. Everybody needs to do everything and everybody needs to do this thing. That is not going to work.
I think
Now, prompting skills for coder or the individual contributor is going to be very different from prompting skills at the C level. The C level guy is going to be more because of the experience, responsibility, and authority. They have the more at least expected to have more level of wisdom to find out whether what AI is saying is wrong or right. Is somebody at an individual level saying AI is telling me this, I just take the word for AI and just put the code as it is, check in the code and be done with it, figure out later on what is wrong with it. So that is the difference which we need to start actually advocating, that people need to start to have these skills where they have the discernment capability.
what I hear clearly out is that the first level of maturity of even touching and feeling AI is still happening. Then only
Yes.
it comes about. It's like a kid, when it goes inside a play school, it sees the different shapes. First it touches, then it has to turn big. I think we have to even, because in the big enterprise they have so much of work now. They currently think it is about just that prompting or the other thing is the only thing. And I think at each level they have crossed that even. So that conversation, probably Santhosh and all has an advantage that because it's a smaller team, that first level maturity they have. And they are at the second level of maturity. And Selvam has been like developing a AI solution itself for past 3 years now. And I think one of the biggest challenges with Stark, Rianim and his ecosystem companies is when you have features built on top of AI. It's the classical thing like Microsoft or any other big companies will build that product of that other company as just another feature, which means that they cannot just say, I know how to use prompt or I know how to use LL. That is not going to keep them. And sure, Selvam's challenges is even more further. So, how are you facing it and handling it? It's all related, like what Santhosh has said. You and your team, for you, it's not a choice. You have to build that capability and skill as quickly as possible. Sometimes in print, not that much. Deepak is in enterprise, something else. But for you, it's clear and present danger, right?
Even for me, there is a challenge. Every week we have a weekly stand up. I talk to the team. I said, just submit reimbursement for tools. There is no limit on that. Just submit reimbursements. Even there is friction. People normally associate doing hard work as a form of satisfaction. You want to work hard and see the output. That is inherent. But the reality is we have probably moved from knowledge to allocation. Nowadays, sometimes when I do this kind of a thing, I put a screenshot. I try to make sure that they get inspired. For example, if I write a code, I don't ask it to write a code. I ask it to share the plan first. Reviews all the code, gives a high level plan. I review it and make a change. Then I submit it. I said, don't ask it to write a code. Just get the plan and you make the call. So this is like a kind of allocation, right? You decide, as Deepak said, which one it should do, which one it should not do, which one I need to be watch close eye, right? Because I've seen this multiple times. It just removes some feature altogether. Bring it realize the code. So I think that capability, even for a small team, right, I managed to bring it to a certain level. But I think for bigger enterprise, I don't have direct experience right now. I used to work, but I think this is going to be a bigger challenge. Even 5 members team, and you constantly reminding how there are so many ways we can use AI because you have the knowledge of internet, the whole internet. Right? So what you're doing is like small piece of. You should be able to get all the missing links.
I would like to hear from you one scenario or a scenario which has two variations, right? Something you found that a team member, like that can pulling example which you said, right? That notch on the cans were first without. Okay, so the customers never quite complained. They had to have a can opener even for a juice or other thing. Till that notch came out and then it changed the world. So there are things which is problem which people don't see as problem. But then AI is a fantastic thing which helps you do that. Have you seen any of your team members coming out and then say that, hey, for this I used AI, and then you were like, wow, how did you even think of this? Did you experience anything like that? The other one, they come and say, no, I'm very busy. I spend so much time and effort and still it is not coming. And then you say, why didn't you use AI for this? Have you had experiences of both?
I do have, right? So why are you not using this deep research? Every tool has, Gemini has all these things. So our blog, we have a content writer. He needs to do content with research. Of course, we still have challenges with the factual thing. Sometimes it may make factual mistakes, but they tend to avoid that as much as possible, right? Because one thing I've noted is, right, even if AI makes a small mistake, people make a big thing out of it. But still, this is making mistake. But I said, no, every one of us do that. Just
Correct.
change the prompt. None of them have come to me yet to ask for, like, I need a new automation. I'm building and I'm giving to them. So maybe it's an additional step. So you run an additional. I think that awareness is still probably in the early stage. I provide all the creative ways. Get audios, videos. People are now getting into the groove, like content, audio, visuals. They now use AI tools and merge everything. Our developers are doing.
So, Santosh, have you seen any of your developers surprising using something?
So recently, my product manager went on leave for almost a week. Okay. And no one is ready to allocate any task in Jira. And there is this junior guy who type all the stories in this thing, ChatGPT, and convert everything to Jira. And he started allocating every task. And I was like, dude, what do you do? And now the AI is allocating the task. So if you want, I mean, this is where we are right now. So, and I was, see, allocating tasks in Jira, writing a story is the bigger task for us, being a product company. And this guy actually made a lot of sense. With each and every screen, he put everything across and made our life easy, technically. This particular person, she is on leave for another 1 week. We don't miss her anymore.
That's interesting, right? Now that person has to not even level up the game. They have to play a different game. It's not leveling up the game. They have to learn a new game itself. Because existing game you level it, you can never compete and write a better user story than AI.
User can think of, right? Say, these are the scenarios which a user may think of. He gave a prompt for each screen and wrote a story for each screen. Started planting the Jira story and what are the tasks which need to be allocated. For me, the costliest software in the entire company is allocating tasks. And this is being taken care of.
That's a brilliant example. So, what you're telling me is a very junior guy in the team did the project manager's job much.
I think the interesting thing would be to check the quality back, right? Because that junior person may not have the skills to make a judgment whether it has done a good job or not. So that since you mentioned that they have not, he does not know that he has done a good job or not, right? So that is the key factor which maybe the product manager could have added value to. That is the only
Right.
thing I can see.
It's again what you're talking about, right? Do I need zero productivity and 90% accuracy, or will I prefer 80% productivity and 60% accuracy? It becomes very obvious that unless you're going to have a nuclear bomb which will explode, or I'm firing a missile and I have to make sure that it doesn't fail, in any of the other projects, 60% accuracy is better with 80% productivity. What made him think that? Why did he? I'm sure you didn't allocate the task. What made him think? What made him execute and do? Did you have a discussion? What was it?
We had a discussion. I asked him why you did that. The first thing in my company do it. Why? Why is the first question? What? Come on, people asked, even if it's a feature, if it's a month, where I asked him, boss, this is not my idea. We just joined the company, 2 month experience. I didn't allocate him into the project. He's fresh from college.
Wow. Practically zero experience.
computer science from unknown college.
It's not even a college which you will rate as any decent thing. It just kind of make sure that, okay, so in spite of the environment, let's put it.
So we all have a problem. We are doing a major migration from Angular to React. The task which was given to this particular guy is, we wanted every feature which is there in Angular should be there in React. And you need to look at the entire ticketing system and find out what are the tickets in every page, and you need to look at the documentation and the postman and all those things, find out if everything is documented. This is what the task which I gave. This particular kid, he went one level up and he started discussing with the team why the React development is slow. Everyone complained we have CI/CD and all those things in play, but the problem is there is no issues which were created so that we can do a commit for that. So what he did is, he set up a team level Jira. He put the entire story over there. He started replicating for them to do the testing on each and every screen if all the features are there. So he was doing the documentation. He was taking the help of ChatGPT and what on the earth. And he started preparing it. And he was discussing with his peers, finding out the actual issue with the sub-junior developer, I would call it, saying that they are not finding it issues and they are not being committed. Otherwise, those issues won't be there. So what Chris did better, he put the entire thing over there and he made it easy for everyone.
It seems like he got frustrated that he couldn't move forward. And he said, I'm going to figure out what I can to go faster. I'm not letting these things stop me. Can we infer that from her?
So today we don't talk about CI/CD as any big deal. It's expected. It should have it. This is the same situation we are going to have with things like GitHub Copilot or Claude for Code or whatever. All these things, they are going to be just we do for CI/CD. Is expected to be there. It's part of the thing now. So that's my prediction within 2 years.
I mean, no one has time to do any changes. Let's say I don't want this text box to be called currency. I want to call it money. You need to raise a ticket and someone has to verify. You go to Copilot and it is going to fix it, submit it, and go to the production. I wanted the dev team to be really strong as well as all the JS testing and all those things. So that is where we are looking at the world at this point of time.
So when software doesn't work, somebody is complaining. I'll say, hey, relax, boss. Somebody like me only. They are from my family. They are my tribe. Their blood is my blood only. Something like me, right? The God will not work only. What do you like? I think if I have a company, right? I haven't switched in my, and I'm conscious about it. As Deepak says, probably in 2-year period, I will reach a stage where I will see, without review, let AI review the code and move it in. Let the bug hit, then I will. Now, practically speaking, most of our applications are like that only.
I know I definitely the production will decline sometime.
Those are what we call known issues, right? Known issues.
Why?
And NBFs are testers, right? As long as that percentage doesn't go beyond a particular limit, let everything go. Customer raise a ticket, fix it, move it to production. If customer doesn't complain, well and good. Let me see how many complaints come. I think that company or that management which gets to that mind, they will have a lot more momentum. Unless you are writing software which is monitoring an operation theater in a hospital, or it is monitoring a processing plant in a radioactive tree where people can die, I personally have not got to that mindset. But I think the quicker I get to our senior mindsets, that's more close to where we are. The human skill that is needed is your ability to pay, an ability to live with uncertainty. You want to have an AI system, it will be there will be hallucination is as if humans we are all very certain. No, humans are uncertain. Selvam said previously, we are just using AI's problem as a cop out, not respond. Or we expect the AI to be even more perfect than us.
I always tell this to all the people who are using AI. You cannot say later on AI wrote that email. It is coming out of your mailbox.
Or it is like if a developer fails, yeah, or doesn't happen too often, bad example. Ideally, it should be like if a bug just happened, the PM and the VP should resign, which doesn't happen. When the government fails, the minister should resign, which also doesn't happen. But ideally, it should be like that in the real world. Now it is like, for example, with a human scapegoat is better than an AI scapegoat. Currently, that scapegoat is not good enough. You need a human scapegoat. It will push us towards more responsibility. Let's see how that goes. My hypothesis is senior execs who can get to that state will stay relevant in that world.
I think a lot of senior guys are getting it. They are getting that what is the value of this thing. The smart ones are. Those who are not going to be with it, then will lose it. It's just like any other tool. If they don't find the good use of the tool, it's like Microsoft fought the web for until they figure out, oh, this is the thing to go for. Then went all in. Those kinds of things will happen in the industry too.
So, great discussion. Thanks, Santhosh. Keep connecting. I think we just touched on one topic here, two more topics. And thanks for joining.